Man, it's been a long time since we heard that music.
Yeah, kind of jamming there a little bit.
Yes,
All right.
yes. Good
Hey,
evening,
so good
everybody.
to be back with the fam.
Hey there. Man, we haven't seen each other in a long time either.
I
That's
know.
true.
At least I haven't
Right.
seen you guys. You guys
Yeah.
were both in Gillette, so I'm assuming. Did you
Yeah.
guys see each other while you were there?
Oh yeah, we sure
Okay.
did.
All right. Good
Yeah.
stuff. Good stuff.
We sure did.
Yeah, and I've seen you, Steph. I saw a lot of your posts when you were traveling to and traveling back, and some from there. Raj, of course, I caught the breakfast show. We're going to catch a little bit of that a little bit later on this evening. It's Dr. Henry who I haven't seen.
Yeah, he's
a
in my
lot of-
A.
Yeah. He's been busy.
Yeah.
As,
Well,
as have we all.
yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Well, listen, thank you guys for joining us tonight. This is August 16,
The
2024.
15.
Yes. And we welcome you to a very special edition of the Pastors Roundtable. This one is not planned. This one is just, we missed you guys. I know I came on for a minute last week, but we had some of the crew back. So we said, hey, let's hop on, say hello to the PRT fam, and to debrief a little bit. Both of our team that you see on either my left or my right was at Gillette. So I said, hey, let's come on and let's talk a little bit about what the experience was like. So we thank you for joining us tonight from wherever you are. I see Mama Patrick in the chat. Let me put her thing up because I think I'm going to have to put it
She
in the right
called
spot.
me just a moment ago and said, hey, I was just calling to see, are y'all going to be on? I said, yes, Mom. All right, bye-bye.
That's all right. There we go. I think I got her. I had not lined up the comment section there, so now I think
Well,
we're lined up.
while you're
Yep.
doing that, I see that there are several viewers. So start dropping in your happy Sabbaths and where you're from. We'd like to definitely say happy Sabbath to our viewers this evening.
Yeah, it's been a busy summer, everybody. We just started school this week here in Fort Lauderdale. I know a lot of folk around the country, but summer is officially over.
So-
I don't care what the calendar says. Once school starts, summer is done.
It's done.
It's not like it used to be. I remember growing up and school didn't start until after Labor Day. So it felt like a longer summer, but
That's
yeah.
right.
Yeah. Well, listen, we wanted to come on tonight and just talk, like I said, a little bit about Camporee for those of you that went. I know you've had some wonderful experiences as well as some wondering experiences at camp this year. Both of our teammates here at PRT had the opportunity to attend. So I think, guys, let's just hop right into it. I want to talk to you guys about the experience. Steph, you went as talk to me. You were a Pathfinder, a counselor, a staff member, volunteer. How did you end up going and attending Camporee this year?
So I had the privilege of working with the South Central Conference team. And so we created a team with our youth director and some folks in the office that kind of came together. And I was just a part of the logistics team. And So as just in the planning of trying to get our clubs from South Central Conference to Gillette, I was just happened to have the privilege of working with that team. And then Roger asked me to, he voluntold me. I love that. He voluntold me that I needed to be the postmaster general for the Camporee. So I did volunteer my time during the day to sell stamps and other
Okay.
things at our little post office and send out mail. So I had the privilege of being a volunteer at the
So hey, let me back up just a bit and kind of set the stage. There might be some folk who come across this and have no idea what this camporee is. So, Raj, give us a quick overview of when people say, "Hear us talk about camporee." What is it? Who's involved? What is it about? What is it for? Who is it for?
Well, listen, Camporee this ministry was developed for the Pathfinder ministry that the Seventh-day Adventist Church sponsors for their youth, 10 to 15 age group. And so it started out when it started out back in the day. The club will go camping. The club will do the gathering together, the worship, the things like that. The club would do that, which is a group of kids that go to the same church or in the same community. And then after a while, they decided, hey, let's have regions. And then they said, hey, let's the conference do it. So the conference will go, and some conferences would have 5 to 6,000 Pathfinders together. The conference I belonged to back
Wow.
in the day, Northeastern, where I grew up, they would have 5 to 6,000 Pathfinders that'll gather together and camp, and they'll have programming and activities for them. Then it began, well, hey, let's try a union camporee. And so the union got together. And so you'll have different conferences. And then it got to the division. And what we had last week or the week, 2 weeks ago, was the division camporee for the North American division, which takes in Canada. Well, let me put it this way: Bermuda, Canada, Guam, Micronesia, and
Mm-hmm.
United States. So that territory was the recipient of the planning for this camporee. However,
Mm-hmm.
people from around the world who loved the Pathfinder ministry, they all showed up. They sent delegations, and people come to experience what we celebrate here in North America. So it was a major operation for the young people of the Seventh Adventist Church and their friends and their community to come together in a tent city and worship, celebrate, try their skills at camping and other things, honors, and we spend 5 days out there together.
All
Yeah,
right.
it's international at this point. So it's grown from the division to become an international camporee. So I don't want anybody to think that the international folks just showed up. It's intentionally an international camporee.
Hey, what
So
y'all doing? Just
yeah, right. I
Well,
think
we have to be honest. It does happen the other way around. So
yes,
North America was kind of the first division that did it at
it
that
hosts it. It
level,
hosts it. Yeah.
hosted it at that level in '85. And then since then, other divisions began to.
Yes.
So South America, matter of fact, South American division, they do two camporees. Okay? They can't afford to have one camporee. They do two camporees, one, based for logistics and for and in terms of timing and things like that. So they do two. The European, they do a division camporee. So there are other areas, the South
Yes.
Pacific, they do a division camp, and a lot of the North American division people go to those camporees
go to those
Every
camp.
also.
Wow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. The Inter American division just had a camporee last year in Jamaica,
yes.
and trust me,
Okay.
a grip of North American division people went to that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, some of my church members in from Fort Lauderdale went to that one.
Yeah,
I understand. Was it Hussein Bolts they had as a guest come through
yeah,
there
yeah,
in Jamaica? They were really excited about that.
Yeah.
Listen, talk to me right quick about the scope, the size of this thing. So, you said sometimes 5, 6,000 folk might come for a conference or a union event. This was a division event and an international event. What kind of numbers showed up this year, and how did that compare to years in the past?
Well, this thing has been growing. Like I said, for the Northern Division, we started in '85 in Camp Hale in Colorado, and I can't remember exactly how many were there. I think it's about close to 10,000. I could be wrong, but it started to grow. 10, 20, 30. In 2019, there was 55,000 people at the last division camporee, and at this
Wow.
camporee, we prepared for 60,000 people to show up.
Wow.
And to put that in some context, the city of Gillette, which was the host city, has a
Cool.
population of about 33,000.
Mercy. Wow.
Yeah.
So,
So
just
you,
a fact about Wyoming: Wyoming is the least populated state in the United States. So, there's just, I want to say, just under 500,000 or so.
okay.
Yeah, but Google it. It's the least populated state, and if you ever go to Wyoming, you will absolutely know that that is the truth.
Plenty good room. Yeah, sounds
Yes.
like there's plenty good room. All right.
Mhm.
All right. Well, good stuff. That sounds exciting. 60,000 people. I wanted to put a little bit of that into context as well in terms of other large Adventist events. And the other largest Adventist events that I could think of would be like a general conference session.
Mhm.
And I looked that up and saw that the attendance at our GC sessions tend to range between 50 and 70. I think
Correct.
77,000 was the
Mhm.
number. So at the
Uh,
rate that Camporee is going, it seems like it is on track to surpass at some point even the gathering of the World Church that we have every 4 or 5 years. So
this
that's some phenomenal growth.
this camporee is the largest youth event in
Yes.
the largest
Mhm.
youth event. So there are other events that happen, but this is the largest youth event that happens for the Seventh Adventist Church.
Cool, good stuff. All right, so Raj, talk to me real quick. I asked Stephanie how she ended up there. What was her? Was she going as a volunteer or as a pathfinder or chaperone or whatnot? How did you end up at Camporee this year? What were
Ah,
you a volunteer? What was going on?
I was a sacrifice, a lamb. No, I'm just kidding. Um, the joy I have been to every single Pathfinder Camporee, Division Camporee that North American has done. And when I went to the first one in '85, I went as a team leader for the Allegheny East Conference. But my youth director at the time, Danny Davis, he was very instrumental in providing programming on main stage. But I went as that. So I've been going as a leader. And
Mm-hmm.
so the last one in 2019, I served as the Mid America Union Youth Director. So I went as the youth director for the union. In '99, I served as the associate director for nighttime programming.
Mm-hmm.
So that was another role that I played, and I think the one in between, I went as the youth director for for the Northeastern Conference, and one time I went as the youth director for the GLAR, the Greater Los Angeles region
All
of
right.
Southern California. I was leading the area pathfinders for that. And then this time, I tried to figure out how can now that I'm in
This build up,
communications, how
Steph.
can I get how can I get to the camporee this year
Yes.
to serve? And they had a position available for on-site communications, and I just thought I'll tip my toe in the water to see if I can rise to the occasion and do that. And they were gracious enough to say, hey, we would love to have you serve in that position. So this camporee, I served as the volunteer on-site communication director for the camporee, providing communication to the city of the Pathfinder Camporee.
Cool. Wow. Talk to us a little bit more about that job description. So you're talking to the city of Gillette about what's happening. You're talking to, I don't know, the Better Business Bureau, talking to the mayor, talking to support services.
Oh man, I did not deal with outside communication. I actually dealt with internal communications. So I actually worked with making sure that the city had the when I say the city, the Camporee city had information.
Got it.
So
Got it.
in my downline, we published the newspaper. So we had a daily newspaper that was published. We had an app that was published. We had social media information there. Then I liaisoned with the city for any emergency communication that will need
Okay.
to happen to the Camporee. There was an offsite communication group that handled public media, that did the articles to the newspaper and dealt with any press kind of inquiries that came. So I was pretty much focused with how we communicated to the city, and then the other part was there was another team that was geared to communicate to the outside of the public press release and things like that.
Awesome. So, Steph, I gave you a little heads up of what was coming. Roger does not know this, so this is going to catch him a little by surprise. But I want to use this comment as a segue. Mary Hall says she enjoyed, Roger, the Breakfast Club.
Awesome.
So, if anybody's wondering what the Breakfast Club is, I'm so glad you asked, because what? Here we have our very own Roger Wade co-hosting a morning show called the Breakfast Club Morning Show for the city, the internal city there during the Camporee. And we're just going to watch a little clip, Raj, of an interview that you and Paola did with our speaker for the camp. So we're going to see if this audio comes through. I know I had a little trouble with this last week. So those of you that are in the chat right now, once you start seeing Roger's mouth moving, let me know if you can hear, if you're getting audio. I hear it, but sometimes I hear it and you guys don't hear it. Let's see if we can listen in.
And we have the speaker for the nighttime program here at the Believe the Promise Camporee.
I hear it. It's just real choppy right now.
We're gonna jump ahead, technician. We have the speaker of the nighttime Camporee, and his name is Pastor Damian Chandler, and we want you to meet him. Watch this package. We are just excited to have the dynamic speaker for the Believe the Promise International Pathfinder Camporee here with us at the Breakfast Club. I speak none other than Pastor Damian Chandler.
Glad to be here. Glad to be here with the crew on the set in Gillette.
Awesome. My co-host here.
Hi, it's nice to meet you.
It's nice to meet you, Paola.
Yes. So Damian, this ain't new to you. 5 years ago, we had the privilege and were blessed by your ministry.
Oh, wow, Steph. I don't know if it's sounding, I see a thumbs up from Mary Hall, which I'm suggesting means that she could hear, but it's sounding really choppy on my end. Is it choppy for you as well?
It's a little choppy, it's kind of echoey, choppy, kind of like it's in a hall.
Okay, all right. Well, listen, I'm not going to make us suffer through the choppy, echoey stuff. But Roger, we see some of the work that you were doing there, hosting this morning club with Paola. You guys did an excellent job, wonderful job in keeping us who were at home and who were not able to be there kind of appraised of what was happening. Some of the other clips and things that you did. Yes, Deandra, we are on YouTube as well, Pastors Roundtable channel. But we were. Sometimes it felt like we were there. Some of the interviews that you did, some of the stuff that you did out in the field. Matter of fact, I'm gonna fast forward here a little bit because we can see, some of this stuff. That you guys were out, some of the Day 4 shout outs you were able to take us through. Let me play a little clip of that.
And I'm just very thankful to be here in Gillette. We have a wonderful team here, and the kids are having a great time. In spite of the weather, no matter what the weather may
yeah, we got to
bring.
talk about the
Their
weather,
hearts
y'all.
are warmed by being here.
All right, we are just delighted to all be here
Hey.
to have all of our Pathfinders here from the Southern Union. We just want to greet all of you back that way and tell you that our group is doing great and God is blessing immensely. God bless.
Can you pause it for a second?
Yep.
I just want to mention one of the things that was oh man, the union Davidson,
Secretary, yep.
our secretary for the Southern Union. But where he was sitting, I know that I don't know if they showed it on the camera, but he was actually at the stadium that they had the rodeo. So every day there were two rodeos, one at 12 and one at 3. And when I say the kids, the adults like were ecstatic because they had the whole clown, they had the the bucking horses and the bulls. It was a great experience.
Oh, they did the Bulls thing where you got to run from the Bulls and stuff too?
No, they didn't do that. That's a risk management issue.
Oh, I was going to say.
We're getting a little echo again, Anslem. I'm not sure if this scene is set up properly.
Oh, I got it. So maybe. So it should be gone now.
Yes, sir. We're good now.
Yes, God.
Let me see if that fixed the other thing here.
Things from the John Conference. We are happy to be here. We are standing on the promises.
Now we're not
I
hearing
just
that.
wanted to mention that because a lot of people are not. Roger talked a lot about sort of the logistics of the Camporee, but there were a lot of activities. And I think for most people who may be familiar with Pathfinders, the most common sorts of activities that we think about when we think about Pathfinder is camping skills, and honors. And certainly those things were somewhat true. Now, because we were in Gillette, the campers could not build open fires and those sort of things, but they still had to put up their tents. A lot of the campers worked with kitchen staff and so forth to prepare meals while they were out there. But in addition to probably, I don't know how many honors. If you ask me, I'd say there was probably 66,000 honors to match the people. There were just a ton of honors that that not just the kids could do, but adults, anybody there could participate and get honors. They had a pioneer village that was a village that was built during the pioneer. It replicated the pioneer times. They had axe throwing. They had in the pioneer village you could do blacksmithing and I mentioned the rodeo. They had offsite volunteer activities that a lot of our Pathfinders engaged in within the Gillette City community. So cleaning up a cemetery, cleaning off headstones. There are just so many activities. They had a rock climbing wall, an activity course, the food court. They had 3-on-3 basketball, drum corps, drilling, fancy drilling, it's just the parades. There was just something literally to do almost from the waking moment. And so there was not a dull moment, I don't think. Even with the weather, that wasn't dull either. It wasn't dull.
Yeah. It sounds like a fascinating time. I'm loving this comment I see from Gwendolyn Powell on our YouTube channel. She says they had a wonderful experience even after the storm, seeing the double rainbow. I saw so many shots of that double rainbow on my timelines.
Yeah.
Every camporee, there's been some confirmation from God. One camporee, the storm split and went around the camporee. This was in Oshkosh. Another camporee, they saw the cross in the clouds. This camporee, we had a double rainbow, which connected right to the theme, believe in the promise. There has always been. It's as if we have asked a question and God has responded.
Wow. Right. Wow. Powerful stuff. Listen, if you were there, if you're watching either live or on the replay, and you were there at the BTP, go ahead and put that in the chat. We want to know if you were there. I was there. And do I want to ask this next question? No, not yet. Just let us know if you were there. Let us know if you were there. All right. Any questions, Roger or Stephanie, you guys have for our audience that you'd like them to kind of weigh in on
I,
tonight?
I don't necessarily have questions. I think that just the commentary that, hey, BT, Brian Taylor was there. I
BT.
saw him with my own two eyes, or four, excuse me, or four. I think that there were areas that if you were there, you obviously knew that there are areas that could be improved on. And so I don't want this conversation this evening necessarily to go down that particular rabbit hole because I mean, it's over. However, one of the things I will say is for those who may be there, I'd be curious as to how their pathfinders felt, and I say that because I had the opportunity to speak to a number of pathfinders, not their club directors, not their counselors, but the kids themselves, and I literally mean from the evening of the storm, which happened to be on August 6th, and I know that because that happened to be my birthday.
Yeah,
Um,
that's right.
from that day until we unloaded our truck on Tuesday here in South Central Conference, everyone I talked to said every child like this was the best thing. This was great. This was wonderful. And yes, they did have some hardships, and yes, there were some trying times, and yes, the storm did impact others worse than some worse than others. But far and away, I do think that people had a good experience, generally speaking, at Gillette. Now, I personally have my own areas of things that I didn't particularly care for, but that had nothing to do with the Camporee. It had more to do with the wide open ranges of Wyoming itself. But and Roger and I have had that conversation.
Every
Um,
day.
every day. I think it's a far place to get to.
Okay.
Um, it,
There was
it, it,
something
it
new.
it's
There was
something
there,
new.
there was no question about it. And even I, as I was preparing, I had to mentally say this is different from Oshkosh.
Yes.
This was not Oshkosh. You're not in Kansas anymore. Came to mind, and so we
Yeah.
had to really walk into this with a different mindset. But unfortunately, I believe this is just Roger Wade thinking that maybe quite a few of our folks who went with the mindset of an Oshkosh experience
Hmm.
when this was a Gillette experience. It was a totally different experience. A totally
I
different.
agree.
It's a different region of the country. The people out there think differently.
Hmm.
They have a different set of values than those who were in Wisconsin. So it's a whole different mindset. But we went there thinking we were going to an Oshkosh, and I think we were slapped into
Yeah.
reality.
Yeah, I think I put that on my Facebook page. I had the privilege of going out on Sabbath August 4th. And one of the things, I think I put maybe 8 things on my Facebook page, one of which is this is Gillette, this is not Oshkosh. You cannot compare the two. And so I think for people who have been to Oshkosh, they probably did some comparison. But if I'm being really honest, actually in my on my Facebook timeline, I got memories from Oshkosh 2014, so it's 10 years ago, and I'm looking, and where at that time I happened to be in Lake Region Conference, and Lake Union, I likened it to Cambodia. I
Oh,
literally,
wow.
where we were in Oshkosh was in a whole mud pit. They literally had to push buses out, like coach buses out of the mud. There's pictures of that. And so people who were in that particular area of the camp didn't think it was that great for those, because it rained and the tents got flooded. And so all of the things that people experienced in Gillette, they were very similar experiences depending on where your club was
Mhm,
in Oshkosh. And the reality of it is they got bad weather in Oshkosh, they got bad weather in Gillette.
Hmm.
I
mhm,
put post Gillette, I also posted on my Facebook page just kind of some of my takeaways. But one of the things that I posted is that a lot of people talk about the sanitation system, the porta potties, and yeah, those could be improved. So I've said it, now we can put that away. But what I will say, and what I said on our page is, it wouldn't matter if the porta potties had been clean. People don't go to porta potties. There's never going to be a good porta potty in the world. Like, there's just never, unless you have your own personal porta potty in your backyard, you're never going to go to a porta potty. You're never going to want to go to a porta potty.
Yeah.
And so, yes, they could have done better. Absolutely.
I
But it's
told
just
Rod.
one of those things that I didn't want to go to the porta potty in Oshkosh. So,
I told Raj that porta potties, when we went camping and I was a kid in Pathfinders, we didn't do porta potties, we did shovels. we,
That's right.
we rolled with shovels. That was our porta potties.
yeah.
Um,
So,
and I suspect, though, from some of the reports I'm hearing, some folk might have preferred a shovel than some of those
yeah.
porta
Yeah.
potties. But
Yeah.
listen, it sounds like it was a phenomenal event. I mean, it's a big event, and it's always a challenge to pull off a huge event. Um, and there's always
And
something.
I think, Ansem, that is the key. We have, and when folks are criticizing the camporee, we have to realize this is not just a, a family of 10 going out to camp. This was 60,000 people that the camporee had to plan for in terms of timing. And
Mhm.
when the camporee made the decision to shut down nighttime programming, which was on the Friday night,
Mhm.
and I have to be honest, it was based on weather. We After Tuesday's storm, actually, we had a storm there on Sunday. A storm came through Sunday and stopped the work at the stage. Then another storm came through Tuesday. And so when we saw that another storm was coming on Saturday, and they said it was going to be way worse than the Tuesday storm, that weighed very heavily on the hearts and minds of the camporee, and I know that for firsthand.
Yeah.
And so when the decision was made, in consultation with all of the union youth directors. This was not made in a back room. All the union youth directors came together. They made an assessment. They talked with their leaders, and they came to the room and they shared what their leaders said and what they were thinking. And we made a decision to shut down the nighttime programming. We couldn't shut the camporee down because we had folks there, particularly our internationals, who could not just pick up and leave or jump in a car and drive somewhere because they had more than just a drive. They had to fly. Some of them had a 4-day trip.
Wow.
And
Yeah.
so with that in mind, we had to keep some things going. So the concessions was still open, was still be there. We looked at what activities we could have provided indoors safely, and so there were probably about 40 to 50 activities, honors, and other things that happened on Saturday.
Oh, that still
For
went on.
those,
Okay.
Yeah.
yeah, for those who were
Mhm.
still there. Saturday night, oh my goodness, the
Yeah.
vendors pavilion was wide open, and there was a lot of
Wow.
exchange going on in there on
Yeah.
Saturday night. So there was still activities happening for those who could not pack and leave. When they canceled, they said, if you feel like if you think you need to go, and you are, each leader was the final say on the safety of their clubs, and they chose to go. We prayed for them, and we hoped they got out before the storm hit, because we still thought the storm was coming, and
Mhm.
it
And the
didn't come.
storm, the storm didn't come, but the storm didn't come to Gillette, but the storm actually
True.
did come.
Yes.
And
Yes.
so, you want to err on the side of safety, particularly since people were intense and it was supposed to be worse than Tuesday. The
Mhm.
storm did hit just the south of Gillette. It was hail. It did quite a bit of
Golf,
damage to the
golf
town.
ball size hail.
Golf ball size hail out there. And so being in a tent with golf ball size hail dropping from the sky was probably not going to be a good thing. And so we are thankful that that it did not hit the camp Sabbath evening, but there were several clubs that left and did report that they did actually run into the storm as they were heading south. So,
Yeah.
and the couple people that I talked to were saying that they were, even though they did not appreciate even driving in the storm, they were glad that it didn't hit the camp, or that there were not people there, because it would have really actually been there probably was a high potential for loss of life if that storm had hit that campground and
Yeah.
people were still there.
I saw people saying, yes, because y'all didn't believe the promise. Y'all saw the rainbow. God said he was going to keep the weather. It was never going to happen. And, y'all left. You should have let them stay there. But, there's always going to be, that give and take, that pushing. Listen,
Yeah.
that picture that's on the screen there, I want to talk about that right quick. I know we weren't planning to be up here for a long, long time tonight, but this was the Friday night, part of the Friday night message that was given by Pastor Damian Chandler. Talk to me, either one of you. This was just such a powerful moment for me watching at home. This is just a beautiful example, powerful example. So one of you, both of you, walk us through, for those that were not there, that didn't see this, walk us through this moment, and what was the takeaway in the crowd and the people that were around you when they saw this, when they witnessed this?
Can I make a confession?
Oh, you didn't see it.
I never went over to nighttime.
Okay.
My role sure did not allow me the opportunity to get over to nighttime. I that was
Okay.
that was the nature of the beast.
But you know what this was, because I don't want to put this. I won't put this part
No,
out there.
I don't know what it was. I
You
haven't
do.
watched
You
it.
trust me. You do.
I know what it is.
Let's go
but
here.
I do know what it is, but hold on before you put it on. What I would actually prefer, you can talk a little bit about it, Anslem, but what I would prefer
I'm not going to
is,
play it because I don't want it. It's going to be jumpy and all that stuff. So I'm not going to play it. So we'll just talk about it.
So what I would say is, being very brief, because I was actually going to say later on, but this is a good segue. The nightly programs are on YouTube, and so if you did not get to see it, I would strongly encourage you, after we get off today, to tune in and watch, because it is a powerful, life-changing, life conversion experience. And so I don't want to give too much away, but think about the blood on the doorpost and the Passover.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So we're not giving it away. I wanted to give it away.
Let's not give it away. I want people to watch this.
Okay.
So as you shared there and set this up, we actually the Camporee actually promoted the fact that there should have been watch parties. They knew that everybody could come, and around the world there were Pathfinders and communities that gathered together just to watch it. So they streamed it. To get the stream out, they literally put in 210 gig fiber internet cables to the main stage.
That's
This is
crazy.
not to the Camporee. This was told that they could make sure that everyone at home could get a good feed. And so what they actually did was they streamed it from Gillette out to the Voice of Prophecy, and then Voice of Prophecy sent it back to the Camporee site, and then it went up to the satellite from the Camporee, because we had the bandwidth to push it out.
Wow.
So it was a major undertaking in terms of technology for the main stage. The parting of the Red Sea was technological. Matter of fact, if we had gone each night with the program, on I think was Thursday night, they actually showed the video of because they recorded it before. I'm giving behind the scenes stuff now, but they showed the video even to those sitting there, because they didn't have the time to change the set. That was the beauty about it. The plan was to change the set Friday, but because we were not going to be able to do that, they had to do some videoing so that we can get it all in. And then the parting of the Red Sea. I mean, it was a what is that, Cecil B. DeMille's level type of a production. I mean, it was awesome. I applaud CYE and the folks who put on the Camporee for bringing the Bible to life. Oh my goodness. I'm still moved by the story of Esther, Courage to Stand, because Esther's story wasn't one that I would run to read because it's Esther. It wasn't not that
Hey,
she was a
hey,
female.
hey, hey,
It
hey, hey.
wasn't a David and a Goliath fighting kind of thing. But the way they presented the Esther story, it was. I mean, I spent some time reading that, and I saw it in a different light. Joseph's story was in a different light. David's story was in a different light, and now Moses and Miriam's story is in a different light because they bring the Bible to life. And I think that's the secret. I think that's where we really need to spend a lot of our time on, is that we give our young people an opportunity to see the Bible real in
Yeah,
real.
yeah, yeah.
And
And our older people, not just our young people, our older people too. And so again, I just want to do a shameless plug. Watch it. It is still, you can go to what's the YouTube
voice of
channel,
prophecy, voice of prophecy, it's not.
Voice of Prophecy. And
Mhm.
shout out to Bill Payne. That is a personal friend of mine. He is the director of Voice of Prophecy. But yeah, I also want to acknowledge Kirk Nugent, who did indicate that Southern Union had a wonderful video screen at their Southern Union headquarters. Shout out to Kirk Nugent and his team who helped put that thing
Kirk.
together. But that was full of people. So that if you go on Facebook or some other social media sites, you may see an aerial view of the nightly program, but understand that there was probably still several hundreds of thousands in the camp at various viewing watch parties. Because I
In
will
the camp,
say,
yeah.
one of the things we hadn't said, that campground is huge, and so from the South Central Conference / Southern Union area, it was about a 1.7 mile walk to the main stage every night, one
Get your
way.
steps in. Yeah,
Oh
So
yeah, I did my 10,000 every single day.
every day.
I'm
I bet.
excited about that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not only did Kirk Nugent, but Brian Taylor, who is the
Brian
communications
T. Yes.
director for Southern Union, they pulled out our stops to make sure we had the Breakfast Club, Gillette Breakfast Club
Absolutely.
broadcast. And then we were able to show the nighttime program right there in Southern Union. So there
Yes.
were quite a few folks from Southern Union who said, "Shoot, I'm not doing that walk." I mean, it was a good 300 to 400 people just hovering around the
Yeah.
screen watching there, and it was a wonderful experience to see, to connect with folks. And then when we did the evening program for the Breakfast Club, we actually had a live audience. That was not the
Oh
plan,
wow.
but we had a live audience, and we were
Yeah.
able to interact with them and also give away gifts. There were Listen, the thing we haven't touched yet is the pin trading.
Oh boy.
Ooh.
I
Talk
ain't gonna
to
Yeah.
us
say
about
nothing
pin
else.
trading.
So
The
pin
pin
trading,
trading.
pin trading is not for the faint of heart. And I do need to shout
Ah,
out BP. I got to shout out Brian Taylor, who is the communications director for Southern Union. He was the lead on the nightly program, but I believe he was also the person who did their set of pins, which was for those in Southern Union was a set of Southern Tiding, like little magazines. But pin trading, for those who are not familiar, is an activity that local Pathfinder clubs, unions, divisions, etc., and then maybe even some ministries will create pins, PINS, and there's always a hot pin or a hot pin set that is pretty rare. So when you think about 60,000 people on a campground, if your club or if there's a group that only has 500 pins, then that pin becomes extremely valuable, or that set becomes extremely valuable. So South Central's set had 6 pieces in it. There was one to represent each of our 5 states and then a centerpiece. And so sometimes the kids will trade one of the pieces, and the goal is to get all 5 pieces and put them together. Or there was one particular club and they had a set of butterflies, but the butterflies were in all states of flight. I
Oh
only saw
wow.
that set one time. South Korea's pins, North Korea, South Korea. South Korea's pins were like hot. And so the Illinois conference pin came in 3 sets. Sometimes the sets have spinners and they do things and they light up and blink and do. One of the hot pins had the I believe the Promise logo, and it had like it slid open like the Red Sea opening. So I mean, you just pin
So
trading is a
so
thing.
so
That's the
as you were
stuff that we
talking
see on
there,
Roger's hat right there, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
So I had to pull out my pins that I had here. So this is the one that's on my hat. This was the Pathfinder Today pin, which is the daily newspaper, and we had this produced and was actually providing this out of the
Oh,
post
wow.
office. And so this was the story of Moses, Pathfinder. But then I also just wanted to pull out the North American Youth Ministries pin. It's a spinner.
You don't feel like he's showing off right now. Is that
No, 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 no,
he's
no, no. I ain't showing off. These
he's
these these were
He's
not
showing off.
these were not only the thing, but they had a whole set. And they
can I play
connected it
you
to
up?
the next gen leader at Bermuda, Canada, and I mean
Southeastern
it was
Southeastern's
it's an
club,
experience. Trust me, it's an experience to
Southeastern's
see pins.
Oh, yeah, but Southeastern's pins were nice too.
Oh
Southeastern's has
yeah.
a very nice set, and I have a set from Southeastern. So it is you get some bragging rights, and the idea of trading pins was birthed, I believe, out of just giving the kids a reason to interact. So way back in the day, the pins were teeny tiny, and you go up, hi, my name is such and such, I'm from such and such. Would you like to trade pins? And so it has gotten to be a big thing. So every 10 steps that you go, you have people huddled in groups. What you got? What you got? And so it can become a little competitive in a very fun sort of way. And people hold on to their pins and they try and get, I think it was at that's Southern
That was
Union
Southern
set. It
The
came with
Union,
the
Southern
stand.
Tidings, I think.
Southern
Yeah,
Tidings.
Southern Tidings. It came with the stand. And so pin trading is a hot thing, not just among the children.
Oh
We
my
actually,
goodness.
oh yeah, that's their set. Prior to going to the Camporee, we did try and give some pointers, and there actually is a pin trading honor so that you learn how to trade pins, because smaller kids could get taken advantage of for sure if you have some adults who are just like, give me this pin. But overall, it is a very, 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 very fun activity, and I had a blast. I didn't trade as much as I like, but it's fun.
The Taste of Eden shared that the pyramid pin, which was a pyramid, a gold looking pyramid, and it opened flat and told the story of Moses, and they were selling those pins. There's some pins you give away and you trade, and some pins you are selling, and so that it's a lot to do. So DeAndrea talked about the fact that Walmart workers, they caught on to the idea, and they were given pins, and we were gently collecting a few from them. So the city got into it. We kind of alluded to this. This was new for Gillette. I think next time we go there, it's gonna be on and popping in Gillette for the Camporee.
Yeah, I'm excited. When they first said it was going to be in Gillette and they were moving it from Oshkosh, I'd been to Oshkosh before. As a matter of fact, as a part of the team, Raj, back in '99.
Hmm.
Um, but but I was really excited to go because I grew up as a little kid watching a whole lot of Western, movies as we was a cowboy and Indian type stuff. And I thought about what that was going to be like there. And I felt bad that I was not able to go this time. I am determined to make sure that I can go next time. We have to have a pastor's roundtable spot at next time
Yeah.
at Gillette.
Can I
But
say one other thing?
yes, go right ahead.
I know we're probably about to wrap up, but the other thing, outside of the highlights of the Camporee, sorry, people are yelling in my house now, but a lot of the clubs had also the opportunity to go and visit some of our national monuments and parks. So a lot of our
Yeah.
clubs had the wonderful experience of going to Mount Rushmore, which is about 2 hours from Gillette. And quite a few of our clubs also had the opportunity to go to Yellowstone National Park. And so that also enriched, I think, the experience of our clubs and our folks coming from around the country. So I know I had the opportunity to go to Mount Rushmore. I got an opportunity to see um, Crazy Horse.
Hmm.
And I didn't get a chance to go to Yellowstone because it was a little bit further, but those kinds of opportunities, a lot of people went to, I think it's called Devil's Tower, which is a rock formation.
Hmm.
Sometimes you'll see it in the movies. That was only about an hour and 15 minutes from Gillette. So there were a lot of good sightseeing opportunities as well. So I just wanted to throw that in as well.
That's true. It's an experience. There's no question about it. Every 5 years, you can go and something you're just blown away. You get to do things you have never done before. I can imagine the Pathfinders from New York City got to ride horses, got to see the rodeo, the Western kind of life. Listen, it's God's way. Matter of fact, I think just driving out to Gillette, they saw wide open spaces.
Yeah.
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 That in itself is an awesome experience.
And they saw deer and antelope play, and that is the
Yes,
home
right.
of the deer and the antelope, and they are just out there waving at you and saying, "Hey, y'all."
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Well, listen, just a shout out to all of you who played just an integral part of this camporee at any stage, whether you were a Pathfinder, where you were a counselor or a club director, a chaperone. I saw things from like Allegheny West Conference had a whole kitchen that was they put up for additional clubs even outside of Allegheny West. Um, just so many different. You're seeing some of these activities that the kids were able to do on the screen here. Just a phenomenal event. Certainly not without challenges and areas to improve. But I praise God for putting the people in place who had the vision for this thing. Ron Whitehead and his team. I text Ron at the end of the Friday night program, and just said, "Ron, phenomenal. I'm praying for you." I know that he's probably gotten a lot of flack for a lot of different things. And like I said, there's always room to grow and to improve. But just look at this. I mean, where do you go to find a church that invests this type of effort and energy and
mhm,
resources into doing something for its young people? And
yes.
so I'm just at sitting at home. I am overjoyed and overwhelmed at the effort and the intent that went into this thing, and I can't wait for the next one.
Yeah.
Excellent. Yeah. Same here. Same here. You know, yes, I've been to everyone, and man, I work my tail off at everyone. But I'm just happy to hear the kids are having a blast. They get an opportunity to experience something, to recognize that they are not the only one in the church.
Yeah.
That's the key thing. A lot of our young people, most of our churches are in rural, small towns, particularly here in South Central. And so, for a small church to be a part of something of this magnitude, that young person knows that they're part of something major. They're part of something big, and who knows what God may have inspired in them in this trip to Gillette. And we just have to sit back, buckle up, and see what they allow God's Spirit to birth in them and take us to another level.
Yeah.
Ooh, baptisms. All right now. Good stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. All
That's
right.
Awesome.
great.
Well, listen to our audience tonight. We thank you for popping in for just a few minutes. This was not a full PRT. We're going to be joining you again back in full swing on the 20th of September. You may see us pop up now and then between that time, just to say hello or to give up. We didn't want to miss this opportunity to come and to talk a little bit about Camporee. Again, we know so many of you of our audience were there. Many of you were not there, but we wanted to give you a bird's eye view from two of our very own PRT staff that was able to go and to participate in this, for some people, once in a lifetime event.
Yeah.
I pray that it's not a once in a lifetime event for anybody who was there this time. I hope you get to go next time. I took that Sunday after this was done. I remember I took some of my kids out from my church. I'd been promising to take them out. I loaded up my car, got one of my other members to load up their car. We were probably breaking the law with kids lapping up and sitting on top of each other. And I just took them out to a little Boomers is what it's called, where we are, where they do go-karts and bumper
Mhm.
cars and all that kind of stuff. And I could not help I'm sitting there watching my kids do all of this stuff. I'm not doing a thing. I'm just sitting there watching, and I couldn't stop
Mhm.
grinning. And it's like I got to that. I'm finally at that age where it is just so much fun watching our kids have fun that I didn't
Yes.
need to go on any rides myself. I didn't need to do the stuff that they were
Mhm.
doing, but just seeing their smiles and seeing what it did for them made my school year. I mean, that was the end of the summer thing. And I can only imagine. I know that there were adults and staff people who were weary and tired. I know, it is chasing after kids and all that kind of stuff, but I can imagine the joy that this thing brought to our pastors and our leaders and our adults who went just to see our kids be able to have this kind of experience. And so, again, for all
Listen,
of you that participated in making it happen, thank you. Go ahead, Rod.
before we end, man, we need to say there was a unique experience that happened at Camporee that has never happened at Camporee before.
Hmm.
There was a baby born at this
What?
Camporee.
Who?
Yeah.
Yes, a
What?
Camporee miracle.
Yes.
Parents were from the Winston-Salem Messengers in the Carolina Conference.
Yeah.
On Sabbath, they had the birth of Nathaniel Wilder Kelly entered the world with 5 pounds, 5.6 ounces, 19 inches. Baby and mama doing well. Mom and dad were there supporting their club.
She was working the
No,
gate.
no
Actually,
pressure on that kid's life going forward or
she was
expectations
working the
from him.
gate. She was standing and walking and working the gate prior to
Yeah,
having the baby. So
yeah.
What?
And she
yeah.
went to the hospital there in Gillette and had her baby. They listen, what an awesome experience. What a story to tell your children.
Hey, I
I
want
was
to take.
born at the Camporee.
I know, right? Yeah. Born to Camporee.
Yeah.
Like
So
he's got to be. There's no
right.
way he cannot be a Pathfinder. I mean,
There
Right.
you go now. There you go. There you go. Yeah.
hey, look, we want to shout out Rohan Wellington, Dr. Wellington, and his team. He was part of that team there at, he's shouting out our Roger Wade, thanking you, Raj, for your hard
Yeah.
work and your leadership during the event. We want to thank Dr. Wellington. I got to see a lot of the pictures and shots where he was leading part of our NAD team, doing
Right.
a lot of photographs and other things that he was involved with on the tech side of that. So, Dr. Wellington, thank you so much for what you brought to our Camporee, our young people, and our clubs. All right, that's all I've got. Rod, Steph,
Yeah.
anything else before we bounce?
Last
I'm
thing.
just yeah. Thank you
Well,
for allowing us to have this opportunity.
yeah, I would say thank you, and I encourage everybody to tune into get on the YouTube channel, the Voice of Prophecy. Make sure you watch this program; it's definitely worth it. Encourage your young people to watch it. It definitely is a good program to watch. And for those who have doubts about attending Gillette in 5 years, if the Lord delays his coming, I just sort of liken it to, and the men won't understand this, but I liken it to women who have children. We always say when we're going through childbirth, oh, we never can do it again, and yet we do it again. So be prepared to do it again. It will be better the next time. And so I look forward to seeing you at Gillette as we stand. What is it?
Stand strong.
Stand strong as we stand strong.
Yeah. Listen, let's do a little PRT push. If you have an idea or a thought that you would like to see us delve into, a topic you would like to see us have, drop an email and share that idea with us, and we'll be happy to develop and show around your idea for this upcoming season. We are beginning the planning process, and hopefully on September 20th is our plan, according to God's will. We will be back on the air regularly every Friday night at 8 o'clock Eastern as we continue
season 10
to talk
Wow.
about the
intersection
of ministry and structure.
We did do season 9. We didn't finish, but we'll be on season 10.
Season 10. All right, sounds good. Blessings, everybody.
Take care.
Till next
God
time.
bless. And as Ron Wyver would always say, we'll see you at the next Camporee or in heaven, whichever one comes first.
Amen.
All right.